And it doesn't matter what you do, whether it's playing guitar, making records, designing guitars, which is my career, everything's important. You have a tendency to think that only the things that are important to you are important, but everything's important. James, my name there. How you doing, bud?
Good.
You probably don't know why I've called you here.
I have no idea. I feel like I'm in a spotlight though.
Well, James, I know you know, but we were fortunate enough to be inducted into the inaugural induction of the Kansas City Barbecue Society Hall of Fame.
Wow, that's exciting.
Which I think there's 11 other active cooks that are in it, all great cooks. The thing that makes this one great, although KCBS didn't explain it very well, is that it's not a popularity contest. It's based on achievements where there's a value, a tie to that. When you add all the points up, if you get to 2,000 points, you're in the hall. It's really great because it takes the questioning out. It also lets people know what they have to do to qualify, how many more contests. We started Big Poppa Smokers with Jody Clark, who's not here today, with Joe Golombesky and Brad Taylor. And it was kind of a drunken mess, and I was a semi-interested fourth party trying to coach them. I'm not sure they liked my coaching, James. And one by one, they had kids and had to quit. And in 2012, Jody and I went to the Royal, and we won it.
Yep, I remember that day.
It was so big because nobody from the West Coast had won a major before. I'll never forget on the floor. And the winner is...
That must have been exciting.
Big! Where I looked down, and there's Johnny Trigg in the front, and Harry Sue. And I think Donna was one. And I'll never forget that was how supportive and great Harry Sue always was. You know, Harry Sue had a very strong run before we did. He got a lot of animosity and a lot of stuff, but Harry always helped people. Harry was great. But I digress. So one by one, Jody and I went, and I still want to cook. They quit. So I had one of the guys driving for me, and we showed up to Havasu, and those lights in my camper on the top were sheared off. It's raining. My bed's sopping wet. And I remember he told me that I'm just an insane man, and that nobody could deal with the kind of pressure I have and what my expectations are. So now I'm done, okay? Except for I still want to do it. I made fun of those guys, and I still want to cook. So I went to the HR at Ernie Ball. I said, "You need a truck driver." "Okay, that's fine." "For Big Poppas." "Okay, that's fine." "You can have anyone but James." "Who's James?" "James, what were you doing for us then?"
I was a lead driver for Warped Tour, and then I got hired as a special projects at Ernie Ball.
So they didn't want to lose him, but what do I care? I said to her, "Have James be there at noon." That was 2013?
2013.
I think we won maybe 3 or 4 contests, including the Royal. Things have changed so much. I guess one of the greatest ways of identifying that is Dana Point was the biggest contest out here. And I think we were fortunate enough to win it 3 times. And Dana Point got us to the Royal the second time. Wendover, our first GC, got us the first time. We got 2 calls. It was very good. So we go again because we won at Dana Point. The interesting thing with Dana Point is we cooked a $26 Sam's Club flat and 1 brisket. Now, a lot of arguments. When is barbecue better? Was it better then or was it better now? The romanticist in me thought it was cool that back then you could win with a $26 brisket. Now, what we cooked too, Wagyu, we're at least $400 a contest at that.
Yeah.
So, James, your food background before you met me.
I was just used to eat the restaurants,
Yeah.
local restaurants. I
But-
liked them.
You didn't cook, right?
No, I didn't cook.
Well, the interesting thing is I remember the first contest you showed up to, and he was supposed to just show up, set up, and get the heck out. And he stays there. Now, normally that would bug me, as you know that. You know, I don't like people hanging around and... You know,
No, you don't.
No, you get in this, well, you have to get in this little Zen mode to cook. At least I do. And I like cooking and like the process because it takes me away from the hundreds of employees and all the other stuff going on. You have to have a clear head if you want to do well. And that's why when Johnny Trigg would say, when you see 3 or 4 bottles of Jack Daniels or Jameson, It's another person you don't have to worry about. Well, anyway, you were taking notes. And I said, wow, that's cool. I said, you don't have to be here. He said, I'm curious, right?
Yeah, wanted to learn.
Yeah, and he's taking notes. Well, the guys who just quit thought I was crazy. This guy's taking notes. So he showed up at the second contest, and he's reset up my whole deal based on how he saw me prep, which hand I used to carve, the different things, and it's actually a lot better than how I was doing it. So I said, James, we'll learn how to cook.
So absolutely.
So I'll teach you chicken.
Yep.
We'll cook 2 batches. When yours is better than mine, and I'm the sole judge, and I'll be objective, we'll turn yours in. When do we turn yours in? Second time, right?
The first time, video was a Charlie right.
I tell you right,
Charlie right.
179.44 or something, a second
In
place.
second place.
At that time, chicken had been our Achilles heel. 179.44 we dream about. Of course, in the old days, you didn't get 180s, as you know, like now. Now they're popcorn in a movie theater. Second contest, we turned it in.
It was I want to say it was, I know it was Avi. Avi, Arizona, the casino.
Okay, yeah,
That's the one that was.
and you got a 180.
We got a 180.
No, you got a
Oh,
180.
we got a 180. Yeah, I didn't even know what a 180 was. I just wanted to get home.
So I remember going to James. I said, James, you know, we've never gotten a first place chicken before. And you got a 180. Can I see the pin?
And so I was like, I don't have a pen. I threw it away. You told me, why didn't you throw
Our
it away?
first chicken 180.
I told him, well, what do you want the don't pin for? You're just gonna put it on a hat. It's what you wear at some fair.
Well, now you like them, right?
But yeah.
I'll never forget. We came back from that trip and I had put on the truck and it used to say James the Flame Perez driver. And I put below that, James the Flame Perez, world's greatest chicken cooker. Because you got a second with 179.44 and a 180. You tell me if there was ever a better start. Well, the funny thing is I meant it as a joke and you'd be so funny how people goes, can't believe he thinks James is the best chicken cooker in the world. As it turned out, you ended up being a pretty good chicken cooker, James.
Yeah, it worked out.
Well, how many different recipes do you think we practice?
I got my stack of books right there, a whole bunch of them.
Yeah, and we work on it together. And I think a lot of people don't understand that.
It's a lot of testing we got to go through.
This is a team.
We do a lot of testing, and even on some days off, we ended up doing either at the factory or at your house.
Yeah,
And
well,
somehow we're always cooking, trying to figure it out.
I think the idea was that sometimes we practiced when we did well in things. Sometimes we practiced well in things we didn't do so well. And then it was always part of refining the process. But I do believe that we let more lip fires than more teams in our area. I think that had something to do with it. One of the keys, before I got into barbecue, wasn't very specific. You know, Tuffy's the professor, and he was, but other than that, everybody eyeballing rubs, eyeballing sauces, all your meats are different weights. I said, just seems like the idea is consistency. And you want to be within this lane they give you. And you kind of lean on the edges of the lane. If you go outside of it, they whack you. So to me was, you got to control as many of the things possible. Show us the books, let's see them. It became very important to me that we were able to identify what the right size of chicken thigh was, with the right weight, with the right amount of sauce, with the right amount of seasoning. So James started taking notes. This is every contest we cooked, 260 something. Every practice, which has got to be in the thousands. Is that the first one?
No, you can tell the first one is this one. And some notes, pads.
Now the problem here is the schedule, but then you get into checklist, what we did. I could show you this because you would never ever be able to decipher James. In fact, James, if we pull the plug on the contest, I can get you a job with the CIA or the FBI. Because I think you could do code that nobody would be able to understand. What did these mean to you, James?
Means a lot of work, a lot of testing, a lot of recipes. Just trying to figure them out.
Something that's really important, and I like to explain to the teams out there, and it doesn't matter what you do, whether it's playing guitar, making records, designing guitars, which is my career, everything's important. You have a tendency to think that only the things that are important to you are important, but everything's important. The other thing are people's motivation when they do something. Some people get into something to make money. Some people get in it because they want trophies. I do it differently. I love the process. I love trying to outsmart this cook and second guess stranger judges and trying to come up with flavor profiles that we could use but also share with other teams and offer in our store. I always figured that if you took care of the process, that the podium would take care of itself. And so this is our investment in the process, and these trophies are the fruits of our labor. But this wasn't the fun thing. It was this. It was creating this. It was styling it in. It was figuring it out. And when it's moved, trying to figure out where it moved. Other thing, when I got into this, nobody really had seasonings. There were a few. Okay, there was Cimarron Docks, there was Smoking Guns On, and there were a few others. Butt Rub, of course, Plowboys. And I decided to make my own rubs. First one I did was Little Louie's garlic pepper. It's seasoned garlic salt with black pepper. And what I did is I kind of went on a riff of Lowry's, except I took a little turmeric out, some other things. I added black pepper and added garlic. And it's a one-stop, it's not a rub, it's a seasoning, but it's great on vegetable, steak, everything. From there I decided, what would happen if you did a Lowry seasoning salt and added jalapeno? So I again took all the red and pink out of the Lowry's, added jalapeno, a little black pepper, and this has been imitated by a lot of guys, but it's the first jalapeno salt, and I still think sells unbelievably well. I can't make guacamole or eggs without it. Then came Double Secret. Double Secret was my take on Montreal, but I'm a Californian. And so it's got big sea salt. And that big sea salt is there, it melts last. All the other ingredients that are smaller get down there. The salt melts when it interacts with the meat and creates a salt cap or a dry brine. Also, the key in here is that a lot of people use vinegar as an acid. When my trains here, I use citrus. So it's the lemon, which was a tribute to the Italian Florentine steak. So when you Double Secret, it became used on a lot of briskets, a lot of comp briskets. I still use it everywhere. If there was a defining rub in Big Poppa, it was Sweet Money, because it was really a dedicated pork rub. And it's sweet, it's hot, it's got everything you need for pork or ribs. It's great on fish or vegetables. So these four were the big four that got us started. I don't think people understand it, but in my life I've never gotten anxiety in anything. And the only thing I've ever done that gives me anxiety is the awards at a barbecue contest.
Losing the wheels on the trailer. That's scary.
It's really not fun.